Hey students, Miss Hill here with your first big video lesson. This week's lessons I've decided to kind of set up the way we normally do in our class, where you've got a PowerPoint and it's going to go through everything that you need to do, and then that will be your resource to start moving forward with the rest of your activities. So definitely this is the first place to start. As we go along, please make sure that you're following along the things and the information on the slide. And on the next couple of slides, I'm going to let you know what you need to have in order to complete this week's activities. Okay, so to start this week's activities, you will need to have done week 1 and week 2 of the Flash Fiction unit, which is also found on Schoology in the Flash Fiction folders. It's important that you do those activities first because they have built up to this point. Our due dates are soft, meaning that we really want you to get things done as soon as you can, but of course, if you have fallen behind or are just now logging in, just go back to those original lessons and then catch up when you can. If you have any difficulties with accessing any of that information, please let me know. All right, so this week's tasks. The learning target is to engage and orient your reader by establishing a context point of view and introducing the narrator and or characters, organizing an event sequence that unfolds naturally and logically. Basically, we're working on developing our plot with A, B, C, D, E, and really developing and delving into our characters a little bit more. So, you may work at your own pace and do a little bit each day. You can try to do it all in one day. Space it out however you like. I would like it done by the end of the week, which would be May 1st. Can you believe it? We're already at May. Okay, so here we go. Please view this PowerPoint as you already are. Do the warm-up that's coming up next and take notes in your journal on the couple of pages that asks you to take notes. These you'll use later for a quiz or other activities down the road. Then I want you to complete the associated activities. They do not necessarily have to be in order, but I would do the last one, number 5, last. Your favorite character discussion post, again, I found on Schoology, talking about your favorite character. Have you ever met one? This is a mentor text. You're going to read it and you're going to answer a couple of questions and annotate a couple things on the page. My Flash Fiction ABCD plot map. This is where you're going to take your brainstorm that worked on last week and add a little more detail. And then my Flash Fiction character development. Here you're really going to delve into your character, your main character, and maybe some of the other characters so that we really get to know your character. Some of these details may or may not be used in your final Flash Fiction story, but it's really important to get to know our characters so that we understand their motivations and why they do what they do. All right, here we are. Let's go on to the next slide. Get ready for your warm-up. You will need your journal and or an electronic version of your journal if you've been using that already to take notes. When you're ready, go ahead and click to the next slide. Okay, folks, we are ready for our warm-up. So please have your pen and paper in hand, or if you were typing this up, as we discussed earlier, get ready to take some notes. So you're going to be seeing a variety of slides, and for each of your slides, you're going to create a character profile. Now, these characters might look a little familiar. We have visited them before in our last unit. So for each character, I want you to create a name, an age, the life situation, the conflict that they might be dealing with, strengths, fears, and flaws. So here's my example. I'm using someone actually very familiar to me in my own life. So here we go. This character's name is Mary Brown. She is a philosophy professor, author, and mother of 3. She has won the lottery but misplaced her lottery ticket, so that's her conflict, and her family doesn't know this yet. Her strengths are quick thinking, her flaws are clumsy and easily distracted, and her fears are confrontation, so she does not like issues. So I want you to do something like that with each one of these next 6 slides. You're only getting 30 seconds per slide, so you got to think quick. Now, of course, if you want more time, you can go ahead and go back and spend more time with each slide. All right, see you after the next 6 slides. Go ahead and begin. Now that you've completed your warm-up, I'd like you to copy down a couple of these character details into your notes. We've used these before, discussed them before when we were doing our genre studies, so some of this should be review. So when thinking about characters, we talk about them in terms of flat, dynamic, static, round, etc. Not necessarily in that order. A flat character is kind of just one note, doesn't really have a wide variety of personality traits. We don't know that much about them, as opposed to a round character is well-rounded. They're not just one way, and we happen to know a little more detail about them. A static character is one way in the beginning of the story and kind of stays that way all the way through. Most of our flat characters are indeed static. And a dynamic character starts off one way and it kind of shifts or changes over time. It could be physically, it could be mentally, it could have some kind of epiphany. So all of our main characters will be dynamic in some way. Most main characters are dynamic. And most supporting characters are static. Not always, but that's the general rule. Also, you want to think about how you put in your characterization. So direct characterization is when the author says exactly how the character is. I'm hungry, the girl screamed. Indirect characterization is showing how the character is, but through other ways. And don't forget, we think about that acronym STEAL. You know, what they say, what they think, how they affect others and how others react to them, how they actually act themselves, and how they physically look. So I want you to consider those things when you are developing your own character. And take note of these terms. We may be quizzed on them at a later date. The next several slides just outline the activities that you're doing this week. All of these activities with explanations and more details will be found on the Schoology folder in Flash Fiction Week 3, just where you found this PowerPoint. So one of the things I want you to do is participate in the weekly discussion post on Schoology. Please respond to the character question, which is basically telling us about your favorite character. It could be someone that you really relate to, but it could be somebody who you do not relate to at all. They just are a really well-developed, memorable character that just stands out in your mind from movies, books, comics, whatever it may be. And if you can, and if you can find a line or a quote from that character, please also add that into the discussion. I chose a character from one of my favorite YA books, The Golden Compass. Or actually, there's a trilogy of the story. So I chose Lyra Belacqua. She is highly intelligent, tricky, independent, and stubborn. She's an 11-year-old. She's compassionate, brave, and fierce. She gets herself in a lot of sticky situations, and she's not afraid to stand up for those that she loves. So there's a little quote from her, and also a good recommendation if you're looking for a book. So please participate in that post. Next, another activity I would like for you to do is called Have You Ever Met One? This is a mentor text of a flash fiction. It's really short. You'll be reading it and then responding to the corresponding questions attached to the assignment. So again, click on the Have You Ever Met assignment, select My Document. Remember, that's where you edit things. Takes you to your own personal copy. Select Edit, or else you won't be able to actually type on the document. Read the story. It's actually right after the questions. And then go back up to the top and correspond to the questions and the tests. And some of the tests I asked you to highlight or change things in different colors. Then, of course, don't forget to submit for score. If you have any issues with any of these tasks, please make sure to send me an email and let me know. I'm really trying to get everyone to submit through Schoology. That way I have all of my work in one area. But, of course, please let me know if you have any issue. Another activity I would like for you to do is to continue working on your personal flash fiction. So last week we did a brainstorm, and this week I want you to add more to it by creating your ABCDE plot map. So again, on Schoology, the Flash Fiction Week 3 folder, you click on the assignment, you select My Document. Remember, you have to click on that in order to start actually working on it, and you also have to click on Edit to actually start editing. Fill in the chart with your ideas from your own story. Look at your brainstorm, look at any of the activities that we've done. If you change your mind from something that you previously have written down, that's totally okay. That's what happens as writers evolve their fiction and their work and develop their stories. Then don't forget to submit for score. Okay, so your final task is to build up your character after you've already done your ABCDE plot map. I would definitely do this activity last at the end of the week. Give your protagonist a name. You might want to decide that that name is telling of what kind of character they are. Did you know that Luke Skywalker walks on the sky? So certain names actually have some significance. So the name, give that character an age. What do they look like? What do they physically look like? What kind of style do they have, and how do they dress? How do they carry themselves? How do they carry their body? Speech, also, how do they sound? What might they say? What might they think? What might they share? What do they actually keep to themselves? Do they speak really fast? Do they speak really slow? Do they have an accent? Really get creative there, but don't go so overboard that your characters have so many weird quirks that they don't really seem like a real character. Relationships. Who do they have in their life or not in their life? Who are their family, their friends? What kind of people are they, and what are their connections to those people? Actions. What kind of hobbies do they like? Do they have dislikes, likes? Responsibilities. What do they have to do versus what do they like to do? Thoughts and emotions. What do they think, feel? Do they have opinions? How do they feel differently than others, or similarly than others? Similar to others. Also motivation. Why do they do the things that they do? What causes them to act and react? Thinking of that, having that really strong backstory that you already started to think about creating in the other activities they've done really help you figure these things out. There's some other things I'd like you to also consider when you're working on this map. Consider including their fears, their secrets, a flaw or two, and any kind of quirks that makes them unique in who they are. The other thing you might want to consider is any other is more information about your character. What do they want? What will happen if he or she doesn't get what they want? What motivates them? What stands in their way? On this activity, you also might want to outline any other characters that are in your story. They shouldn't be the main focus because this is a flash fiction, and you won't have time to fully develop a lot of characters. But of course, any character that is there in taking place in your piece, you also want to create a small profile for them, just so that you understand their place and purpose for being in the story and how they interconnect with the main character and what's going on around them. Okay, that's it for this week. You've made it through all of the slides, and hopefully you've done all the activities, or if you haven't, at least now you know and have a template for getting going. Make sure to have fun while you're creating your fiction. This is, really how you want to make it. Anything you can write about that'll fit within the requirements should be something that you kind of know or that you're interested in. Let me know if you have any questions or issues. Of course, I'm always available. You know, my office hours are typically Mondays and Thursdays from 10 to 12, but I have been responding to you throughout the week. Also, try to get your questions all together in one email. Some of you I rarely hear from, some of you I hear from a lot, and I am getting a lot of emails. So, of course, I'm here for you. Just if you can think of a couple of things at once, or keep a list and then email me in a day or two, that might be the best way, just to kind of cut down on that tech. Make sure you're checking Schoology. Remember, I post on Mondays and Thursdays. Mondays are all the lessons, Thursdays are little updates, but I do post some things along the way. I will also have some helpful hints posted every once in a while as I think of them, or other opportunities that you might be interested in. So just check that out once or twice a week. And the next week's lessons will be posted Monday, May 4th. Also this week, I've sending you an email, if I haven't already, for you to sign up for our first official Teams meeting so that we can actually do this live together. So please look for that email and troubleshoot with technology before then so that we can try to come together and actually see and interact, which I've really been missing. And just little cute pictures. Here's a little Pache taking a nap and Chiro playing in some boxes. I hope you guys have a good week. I sure do miss you. And I can't wait to actually be meeting live next week in our meetings. All right, see y'all later. Bye.